We want to love on the current ones and raise some more funds. So I'm really excited for today's guest coming up here shortly. So stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Fundraise Up. Fundraise Up is one of my favorite tools. If you heard me or seen any of my emails, you know I talk about them all the time. But essentially, they integrate fundraising elements into your existing website, which is great. You're not having to build separate websites for things. And something really cool is they use artificial intelligence technology to optimize the donor's giving experience. So websites more than ever are really important today. So Aaron and I are going to be diving through his incredible website and the features and functionality to give a really great experience to your donors. But let's take a quick sneak peek at Fundraise Up. And just like that, Fundraise Up, even that music, it's like such a vibe. Their platform is really incredible. Today, we're going to be talking about how to integrate some of their features and what it looks like when a website is utilized. So make sure to make this session interactive, drop questions in the chat as we go along. We're live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So wherever you're watching from, drop a note in the chat so that we can respond back to you. So we want to be able to have a conversation with you throughout the conversation. So now let me introduce our guest. Aaron is a native New Yorker. So we're already fast friends because I spent about 4.5 years in New York City and love it dearly. He's always been intensely service-oriented and inspired by the great words of James Baldwin. The questions which one asks oneself begin, at last, to illuminate the world and become one's key to the experience of others. He graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he was fortunate to have the opportunity to study abroad in China. That's amazing. I need to ask you about that. And immerse himself in a community unlike that of which he grew up or went to school. Really important to the mission he's doing today. He currently works as a people solutions leader, cultivating winning organizational cultures. And today what we're going to be talking about is he co-founded OLASTEO with his wife in order to create experiences for underserved students that can really open their eyes to the larger world beyond their immediate community. So without further ado, hey, Aaron.
What's up, Dana? Thanks for having me here.
Amazing. I'm so glad that you're here. I love your organization. So I want to dive right in. Everybody who's joining, let us know if you have questions as we go throughout this conversation. But Aaron, can you really just kind of kick us off and tell us more about your organization and the origin story? Because I got some snippets from your bio as to why you might have created it.
There's a lot of origin behind the origin. Really, being a native New Yorker, I grew up in a very, very unique school district, actually, the East Ramapo Central School District in Rockland County, New York, and just incredibly diverse, ahead of our time. And I learned a lot from that. And there were people there like my guy, Mr. Cleveland, and Mr. Cairns, who set the stage for what we're doing today with OLASTEO. Fast forward to about 2014, my wife and I went on a trip with a very well-known Holocaust survivor, rest in peace, Miss Eva Moses Kor. And we were on this trip with her and about 100 other guests to Auschwitz in Poland to walk her path. And the whole time we were there, we were thinking, I was thinking about my high school life growing up. Ceci, my wife, was thinking about hers. And we were like, man, if we had some kids here from some of the places where Ceci was working at the time in education for the LA Unified School District, this is a game changer. Like, let's take kids with Eva to Auschwitz. And that's really where the idea was fully formed. And in 2015, less than a year later, we created OLASTEO. It stands for Our Lives as Seen Through Each Other. And the mission is to create experiences that empower students to serve as catalysts for social impact. And the real English version of that is we do like premium field trips. And we've taken students nationally to places like Washington, D.C., internationally to Poland a couple times, and about to embark on a local trip And we've recently, because of the pandemic, had to pivot in 2020 and bring something we hope we don't have to do again, called virtual experiences, to the table. But we also started a speaker series, a virtual speaker series, which I think will last beyond this pandemic phase, and something that we've had good success with, bringing more of our community members together because of that virtual world. So that's kind of our origin story. 2015, 2018, we became an official 501c3. Thank you for College Track for carrying us those first 3 years under their budget. And so now we're coming up on about 4 years as a 501c3 organization.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you.
I can relate to that so much because until you see what's available, I mean, what's interesting, I started my journey in the nonprofit sector. And then when I moved to New York City, this just shows you how naive you can be. I thought the whole thing was a downtown. So when you had to take a train downtown, because the whole thing was big, all I knew from
Right,
being in little
right,
Sarasota was downtown means tall buildings. So I was like, what do you mean there's a downtown and an uptown? The whole thing is a downtown.
right. No, that makes sense. Hey, Florida, Sarasota is a nice town, though. You
It
know.
is. It's a beautiful, it's very
But
philanthropic.
downtown is Sarasota downtown. It's got like the Whole Foods, that place Dick
That is,
Vitale. You see the Broken Yoke, or what, you know what I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Wow, look
Come on.
at you. Look at you.
Yeah. Hey, we're OLASTEO. We try to create experience. We got to know what's out there. You know? Yeah.
I love that. I love that. But yeah, it's until you get out of your comfort zone and can experience other people's cultures and histories, is when your mind starts to really expand and understand different opportunities that you might have never thought of. So I love the mission of what you guys are doing. Today, our conversation really is around, it seems like you know this firsthand, the importance of digital and websites. Something that I say all the time is that websites are like our storefronts. The first time we hear of a restaurant or a company, oftentimes the first thing we do is go to a website. And oftentimes on our mobile phones, right? So if the experience is not clear as to what the mission is of your organization from the get-go, and if it's not easy to give, then I'm going to bounce. So I was very impressed with your website. So do you mind? I would love to kind of go through the website and bring it on screen with you and talk through some of the really thoughtful donation asks that you've done, because I think typically in the nonprofit space, there's like one donation page, right? And that's it. But that's not how people use websites. Like, we go to a bunch of different things, and there should be the opportunity to give in a thoughtful way. So do you mind if I bring it up and kind of just like we walk through it?
Let's do it, because shout out to our sponsors today, Fundraise Up, because this is really, I would say, the second major iteration of the website. Both were very much focused around Fundraise Up, over the past year or so that we've been doing this.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So okay. So talk to me about what's happening. The first thing that like my eye goes to after I love that your mission is right here. We introduce students to experiences that expand their minds and create positive impact in their lives. I don't have to guess what you do.
Right. That was hard for us, my wife and I, because that isn't actually our mission statement that we came up with like 4 years, 5 years ago. It's a variation of it, because we've got a lot of smart people like you and many others that tell us no one understands what 99% of nonprofit missions actually mean. And yeah, I could say it all day, but it doesn't even make sense to me anymore. That is more of like a fourth, fifth grade level of
Yep.
understanding of what we do. And it's not even quite where we want it to be, but that was very important. Like, just show who we are and what we do, and get this acronym thing out of the way. Those videos are really key for us. We spent a lot of time and some dough making those videos, scripting them out, making sure we had the right pictures and collateral behind it. And the key with that is we hope people can then press on that, because look, OLASTEO was born in my crazy acronym brain. No one knows that it stands for that. I was telling Dana before, we have a very large population of students that consider themselves Hispanic or Latinx. And so now we've got communities calling OLASTEO, which is kind of cool. but it's really OLASTEO, and the video serves as a way to essentially hear it out of the mouths of my wife and I and explain what it is. And that's something we just didn't have up until the most recent iteration in July. So
Nice.
important these videos to exist on this page and on the About Us page. We felt like video was the right medium for those pages to be the focal.
100%. And I'm glad that you guys took the initiative and the spend to put those together, because you're right, video is key. And right from the get-go, there's, and it might be because my page, I think if I make it, nope, it's still there. So there's right now from 3 different ways to donate on the screen,
Yes.
which is very cool, because if I'm going to make my screen smaller to if it was mobile. So
Okay.
do you guys just see what happened? The donate button doesn't exist in the top anymore, but I have this nifty one here on the side. So if I click on that, it immediately pulls up a really mobile friendly form to use. If I go back to browser size, I can click donate here, which we'll talk about all your different ways there. But I do love, can you explain the Catalyst Collective?
Of course, this is it's always the hot buzz item, recurring donation programs. I knew it was a big thing for us. I understand the sustainability of it and building this up, and it's not that difficult. It's just you got to put the time and effort into it. And so, I kind of went and tried to pick and choose from some folks I thought was doing it well. One of the things I would recommend to everybody, if whether you're big or small, let's just see what other people are doing. I had some fancy way where I was able to look at like every Fundraise Up customer in the universe, because I wasn't concerned. If you weren't Fundraise Up, I didn't really need to copy from you necessarily, but I still copied from other non-Fundraise Up folks when it came to how do they show stock? What's the verbiage they have around mailing
Yeah.
a check? How does their donation page flow? What are some of the interesting things they do? Quotes from this, quotes for that. Shout out places like the Adventure Collective, where we took some stuff from them. Their recurring donating programs called the Collective. All right. There's only so many words to go around here. All right. We always talk about be a catalyst. Catalyst is in our mission statement. So we came up with a name for it. We
Yep.
paid our wonderful designer, Elisa Olinova, as much as we can afford to pay her. And she created a brand campaign. So we have a special brand for the Catalyst Collective.
So let's go ahead.
And
And so if I was to go into join now,
when you go to join now, this shows that Fundraise Up is so awesome because they're campaign specific. This is an evergreen campaign we have in the background. Some of the things you'll notice in here, you can't donate one time when you click on the Catalyst Collective. The branding is about the Catalyst Collective.
yep.
The message is about the Catalyst Collective. We're not trying to have you donate stock through here. So there's a donor FAQ, but I don't have the little buttons for mailing a check and that type of thing. I want to see if we can get you to be part of this giving community that's up to 33 people right now and climbing. That's
That's
kind of how we're
amazing. That's amazing. And then so love that. If I click X, so I'm going to leave.
If you leave
I
that,
love this guy.
the reminder, and we've got it in our OLASTEO teal. This is like an evergreen element. So easy, basically just turn it on and this thing is there and it's just going to follow them around until they tell them no. So that's why Fundraise Up's just it's a game changer. The
It's
button
very
that you mentioned.
e-commerce like.
Oh, it is. It's like Shopify,
Yeah.
Klaviyo. This is the next level for nonprofits. I always say to the Fundraise Up people, they love me for it, but I always thought it's not because of them I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I believe in this. Like if you are a nonprofit and you're not using Fundraise Up, I think you're really doing yourselves a disservice. The only exception to that are the monster nonprofits that can really get away with a huge program like the best of the best of Blackbot or something like that that can also extend on
I
a
don't
donation
even
platform.
know that much about if Blackbot is as intuitive though.
Nothing is going to listen. Nobody else has the chief experience. No one else has Sal running things. Nick Miller, my guy
I
Larry,
know they're the
Natasha,
best.
A Cruz. This is a squad. I know half this company because they are that good at understanding what their customers are looking for.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of love for the people that get their program and are good stewards of it.
I
like
just
Dana.
got to visit with them in New York City actually a couple weeks
Wow.
ago and meet them in person, and
Awesome.
they're as good to their partners and team. And coming from the tech space, a lot of nonprofits don't know this, but my first job in New York was on a team helping to build websites and mobile apps in the first OTT platform WWE launched before the Hulus of the world. It was the first paid subscription platform with WWE, and it blew everything out of the water. And the tech behind tools like this is super important so that on days like Giving Tuesday, which we're going to talk about in a second, you don't have your donation system crash because there's such an overwhelming amount of people hitting the servers all at one time. These are just questions that we don't know usually to ask. And these are things that I was talking to Fundraise Up about because they know and they pay attention and they know that their things can't shut down. I want to go to your, when I click on this donate button, I want to go to your Catalyst Collective page because I think you did a beautiful job here. Okay, so off the bat, I just saw two things happen. This 33 number changed.
That's a ticker element, that's Fundraise Up right there, peoples, that's live. It refreshes every minute. And so if somebody joins the Catalyst Collective, that will be reflected on this page within a minute.
That's amazing. And then you have right here, this is beautiful, right on the front of the page. You don't even have to, what I love here is you don't have to scroll.
Right.
There's no scrolling.
Which was key.
Which was key. And then if I do scroll down, there's another join now button, beautifully designed, but it's like not in your face. And then these I think are my favorite.
They're my favorite, the image cards. Takes a little bit of work, but every consultant, every leader that's done this before, they're always going to tell you got to come up with like your giving levels, right? We did this early on when we first launched the website in July of 2020. And then again, this year when we got the Catalyst Collective going. But you just got to really figure out what your content is and make it real. These are all real things. If they donate that much money, we estimate it out. What does it look like across a year? What does it look like every month? What are the impact they could have? And honestly, my ambitions go. I have a lot of ambitions. Having a full-time job sometimes prohibits me from achieving them to the full extent. I wanted to have 200 Catalyst Collective members by the end of the year. All right, we're at 33, so we're not quite there. But
you never know.
Everybody knows. I mean, those 33 folks are giving us. They are supporting us by providing about 1,300 to 1,400. I can't remember the exact number right now. In donations per month. Okay, and that's a minimal group of supportive folks like that are in it to win it with us. And some of the things that Fundraise Up helped me with, where I thought, oh, I kind of know it all because I've talked to the Danas of the world. I've read all the books. I can do this. I just need to spend the time to do this and have my designer help me. Sal, on our first conversation, I think his title is Chief Experience Officer at Fundraise Up. Sal was like, here's a little tip for you, man, when you're putting together this recurring donation program. Go into Fundraise Up, all these wonderful customizable receipts and acknowledgments you could send people, from an initial one-time receipt to the recurring installment, to even their credit card being rejected because it's not valid any longer. And the one he told me was the recurring installment. And every month on the last day or 2 days, last day of the month, my wife or I will go into Fundraise Up, into that recurring installment of Catalyst Collective, and we will update it with 3 bullet points of what their money from last month allowed us to do for this upcoming month. And that's a Sal suggestion. It takes us 5 minutes, holds us accountable to think about, like, what are we doing every month? Are we pushing the needle? Are we moving it?
That.
And they see that. So it's not a blanket. And I got to tell you, I'm a recurring donor to many nonprofits.
Me too. Right? No one does that.
They don't. I don't even get an email sometimes. I don't even get a recurring installment receipt. I get nothing. We created tumblers. They're really
I don't get, actually, no, it's interesting. I don't get a recurring installment receipt either from.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's Fundraise Maybe Up. One.
That's a difference. That's a difference. And honestly, I think this month, just this week, 2 of our recurring donors out of 33, their credit cards must have expired. And I'm not even worried about it. In the past, when I worked for a nonprofit as director of development, I was like, oh my God, I got to call Dana. Is she going to give me the $20? I got to get her credit card again. I'm going to have to ask her on the phone. Oh my God, I'm agonizing over these like 5 recurring donors. I just know it's going to work out. One already fixed their credit card because Fundraise Up is shooting them little messages.
Yep.
The other told me today proactively, I'm going to update my credit card. No worries, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fundraise Up has you. So
I love that. I think that's honestly one of the best, and I love this. So I love it. Cindy's on here. That sounds amazing. Yeah, College Track is doing great work of college access. Amazing. Yeah, if you guys have questions as we're talking through this is so helpful and beneficial. I think Vic Harrison from Charity Water I was talking to, and they obviously have the massive monthly giving program with the spring.
Oh, man, what are they called? The well or
The spring.
the spring, right? The well is another one that like another water organization has. Yeah, I try to copy all their stuff. The spring
Um,
is pretty nice. It's
but
pretty
they're
nice.
like, you honestly have to create it like a product and you have to treat it like a
Correct.
product. And it needs to have,
Correct.
like you just said, customer service.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's you really need to put thought into it, which you did, like the beautiful design, the thought of that page, like the email responses that people will receive, all of that is so spot on. So when it comes to generating new monthly donors, I want you to talk a little bit about Giving Tuesdays coming up. And I know you guys have a different version, kind of like twist
We
on
got
it, a twist on
we
it
got we
that you're
got
going
you.
with. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that was we didn't start, even though we've been around since 2015, we were what I like to call a one-trick pony up until the pandemic. All right. It's not bad being a one-trick pony. We were taking 15 kids every year to Washington, D.C. They were having a hell of a 4 or 5 day trip, and they were using this experience to catapult them forward. Many of them, college essays and beyond, our relationship with those
Yeah.
kids were strong. Just wasn't enough for us. So that's when we decided we were gonna kind of branch out and let's ask other people for money. The hardest thing to do for many of us. That's why Dana's so good at her job. It's not that hard for her to figure out how to do it. And so we said, all right, like
Because what is actually interesting about that,
yeah,
if you don't think about, and this has been like brought up a lot in the entrepreneurship space, right? If you know that you're providing something valuable and of service, then it's not hard to ask.
true. That's true. True. I think for me, it's more of a bandwidth thing than it is like I
Yes.
don't have a problem asking. It's hard to follow up and stay on it and really have a program like you help organizations create. I think for us, we just knew Giving Tuesday, I'm not competing. We're little OLASTEO, we never asked for money really outside of a small group of family and friends and ourselves. And so we knew Giving Tuesday was not something we wanted to miss, but we also knew there was a bunch of things going on in 2020 when we launched our fundraising for real. There was a presidential election and the height of this pandemic that we're still in. All right. And so we didn't want to compete with the presidential election. So we wanted to wait until that was done because that's where all the money and attention was going. We also didn't want to compete with Thanksgiving or Giving Tuesday, but we wanted our own day. So that's where this came up. I was trying to figure out what to name it. We got our last deal in there. Dough is money. And so I started thinking, man, maybe we could do something because a lot of stuff we do in OLASTEO is centered around food, foodie experiences, great breakfast, lunches, dinners. Kids eat well when they're on OLASTEO excursions, and no
I
different
want to
this
come on
Saturday.
an excursion.
You would not be upset being on the trips. All right, we would be happy being on these from a foodie
But you know
perspective.
what is interesting? So sorry to cut you off, but the
No,
food
go
part is
ahead.
so important. So this is interesting story. My first job was with Take Stock in Children. It's a nonprofit in Florida, and it's a scholarship and mentoring program. And so I was a mentor to a sixth grader, and she had never been to Panera, which was a mile from her house. Like we went
Yep,
close, never been because it's you go to the
yep.
traditional places that they always go. And I was like, do you want the macaroni and cheese? But it was white macaroni and cheese. Had never seen a white type of macaroni and cheese and was really unsure about it. And then she tried it and she's like, this is amazing. Like that is the simplest
It's
version.
cool. You remember it. You remember it from your first nonprofit job because those are the cool experiences we get to see. And that's it's a game changer. You just put them in front of these things. And I think that's where we've as a one trip pony, just trying to survive year to year, we were focused on DC. But what's awesome on Saturday is we're taking 25 kids from around LA to places in LA. And I've had probably out of these 25 kids, at least 6 or 7 have told me this. Hey, Aaron, I'm so excited to stop by USC and tour the campus of Southern California. It's my dream school. You have to understand, many of these kids come from Watts, Crenshaw District, Compton. This is 10, 15 minutes away from the USC campus.
Yeah.
Some of them 5 minutes in View Park, places like that. And they have not been. So, little things. Also, we're in LA. A shout out Mrs. T. I just was at a nonprofit event where she was presenting her wonderful organization, the Engineer Factory, out here in LA. She's out of Inglewood. And she told me her early days in nonprofit, taking kids from Inglewood to the beach for the first time.
Yeah.
We're in LA, all right, but they had never been to the beach, never been to Hollywood. So I'm really excited about Saturday. But getting back to Giving Tuesday, we wanted to call it something different. So we wound up settling on OLASTEO Dough Day. I'm a huge hip hop head from the 90s, as my favorite MC of all time, Nasir Jones, would say. I am stuck in the 90s. And there was being a New Yorker, there was a hip hop group out of Newark, New Jersey, Queen Latifah's guys, Naughty by Nature, all right? And a wonderful, underrated MC named Tretch, all right, who was one of Tupac's best friends while they were doing things together. Also an actor in a few movies. He was in Juice with Tupac.
Wow.
And he had a famous song back in the 90s called OPP. All right. We don't have to go into specifics of it. It's not safe for this channel. Right. But it was an anthem that made it mainstream. And so as soon as I thought Elastio Dode, I thought ODD, you down with ODD. And believe it or not, I got my guy Tretch to shout us out. And we have those videos that feature this year.
No
But that was the
way.
intent behind it. And with the foodie piece, I was thinking Dough Day, when we acknowledge people for giving, we'll send out, like, it would be cool if we could send out cookie dough. And then I was like, what if we could send out vegan cookie dough? Because I'm always thinking with our kids, you have to find dietary avenues that allow for any dietary restriction. So we went ahead and I was like, man, I need a vegan cookie dough company. Got a call from my homie Sabina. We worked together in the venture capital world. And Sabina was like, hey, I don't know if you know, but I started a company. I'm like, well, it's about time. You're destined to do that. She's amazing. Former McKinsey, Diamond Foods,
Nice.
PepsiCo. Said, I'm starting this cookie dough company. It's a vegan cookie dough company called Dough, Deux. I was like, well, you know what? You're going to partner with us on Dough Day in about a month. All right. This is perfect. And so we did. So that became the first Elastio Dough Day with Dough. We spent a lot of time and
I
money on
love
it,
that.
I had more bandwidth because I was contracting at the time and trying to go almost full time towards Elastio. So I was putting
So
a
is
lot of
this
time
going to be
behind
your second dough day?
this. Will be our second
Okay.
one. And we raised net about 28 grand, 36K on the day.
Amazing.
107 new donors. We had 85 total donors up to that point because I said we
Incredible.
really didn't start fundraising until July of last year. So that was a big push. And it really changed the game for us, in that way. Got about 4 or 5 recurring donors out of the day. Just
Amazing.
made a lot of partnerships, got some corporate partnerships. And so a lot of it was around live streaming like you're doing right
Yep.
now on StreamYard. We had a service called Restream that I was using,
Yep.
similar. All right. And putting it on YouTube via Facebook live stream. And my board member, Greg, and I were on there kind of talking about Dough Day, acknowledging the donors that had given, doing Dough Day double up hours where we were getting corporate donors to say, hey, this hour, if you donate, we'll
Cool.
match you dollar for dollar
Yep.
up to 5Gs. And then also having an opportunity drawing, not raffle tickets, because we can't do that in the nonprofit world, but an opportunity drawing where every $20 last year, you were getting an opportunity ticket. All right. And those tickets went into a pool at the end of the day. And we ran a random wheel generator thing, which is the coolest
Yep.
free tool out there on the internet. You got your name on there for every ticket you had. And so we gave away 20 gift bags last year with these really sick with it Elastio Dough Day 2020 hoodies.
I
All right,
love it.
with the little champion, but the O with the spoon in it.
Yeah.
We're doing another custom thing this year, probably long sleeve tees. We only made 54 of them last year. Bunch went to our biggest donors, and then 20 to the winners. This year we might have some other special stuff to opportunity draw off. But
Cool.
that's kind of part of what we do. And this year we haven't planned a lot. So I guess why I'm so excited to be on the call with you is we are going to pull this Dough Day off by the skin of our teeth, barely. All right. We've got less than 2 weeks to go.
It's what day is it?
19th. Friday the 19th is Dough Day. All right.
Friday the 19th.
Last
Okay.
year was Friday the 20th. So it was way cooler because we were raising 20,000 for 2020 last year. Now we're raising 75,000. All right. I said I'm ambitious, but you know what? I think we're going to give it a run. All right.
Let's make it happen.
And we know, and again, to Dana's point earlier, whether it's the image cards, the impact cards, or the mission or whatever, you're trying to find these levels of giving. same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
really, the 75K is very explainable. It's,
That is
40K to go
so
on a trip.
important. So let's
Yeah,
talk. Okay,
yeah.
so can we go into
Let's
like
talk about it.
brainstorm session?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna flip the script, everybody. So if you want to be a part of this, we're gonna have a mini brainstorm session here about Doe Day. So talk to me about what you have planned, and then
Yeah, I can tell you what we have planned.
what do
Not
you
much.
have,
Not much.
and then what? Yeah, and then what would you like to kind of like talk about brainstorming on for it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we have a strategy at least, right? We know what day it's going down. We know what it's for. It's 75K, but that's $40,000 for our spring break excursion in April, where we want to take 20 students from in and around LA to Atlanta. So we might see you, Dana. All right.
Hey,
Montgomery and Selma, Alabama as well, and do kind of like a civil rights freedom trip for
awesome.
5 days, 4 nights. And so that's 40 grand to do something premium like that. We also are going to do our second ever local excursion, the first one outside of LA. So we're doing this LA local excursion on Saturday. But in the June of next year, we're going to do the same thing for our Madison brothers and sisters in Madison, Wisconsin, and also take those kids to Milwaukee on kind of a 2 day local excursion. We have a lot of ties to Madison. I went to school there. Two of my board members, they went to school there. My wife and I met there. It's just that's our place. And then the last is that speaker series I mentioned to you, doing 10 events throughout the whole next year in 2022, which would be about 20 grand. So yeah, together that's $75,000. One thing I'm trying to do ahead of time is obtain, and this is something I learned from a really smart guy who has a cool company called Azusu, which does loans and stuff, for-profit space, but social good. He was like, you need to secure like half your dough ahead of time. I was like, okay. And that's what I'm working on through corporates. And those
Yep.
become our Dough Day sponsors, and we acknowledge the heck out of these people. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm working on getting so that I have that hook to be able to get people in the Dough Day double ups and to rep these companies. And I'm close to getting at least 25K by end of day today. All right. So that's
Amazing.
important. Yeah, so that's important. And that's almost last year's entire haul, right?
Yeah.
I'm also getting all our collateral from last year because I mentioned to Dana offline. We did a branding project for Catalyst Collective. We treated that like a product,
Yep.
but we also treated Dough Day like a product. So this is our special Dough Day collateral. You got the cookie. You got our OLASTEO O as a cookie. You got, instead of our O, you got the little spoon going through it. And we have GIFs and we have social media images and we have graphics and we had a campaign page last year. And so we're going to have our designer update all that again by the skin of our teeth because we don't help her life out. We told her probably over the weekend. So we'll have that probably by the end of this weekend going into next week for a push.
Okay.
And then Mailchimp wise, last year we were much better at this. So we had like an email leading up every Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday. I think it was every
Yeah.
Friday. And then the day of we had it. We still will do some kind of modified thing there. And then we
Have you
have
told people that some like it's coming back yet?
we've had a couple of social media posts that is coming back, but
Okay.
our social media following is paltry and makes me upset to even think about it at times. But we're working on that. I am getting my neighbor, all right, to handle my social media. We had great social media help from paid interns, college kids, but we've
Amazing.
taken a bit of a dive lately where it's not easy to be consistent. I got faith in my neighbor. He's a legit human being, school teacher, adult way beyond college and understands the social media game. So he'll be helping us push Dough Day. And then obviously
Okay.
this LA local excursion, it's tough with all this stuff happening within a week for us
Yeah,
to
it's a
pull it
lot.
off with no full-time staff. However, the collateral and the momentum we're going to have coming off this trip with the 25 kids, no doubt will flow over to pushing people.
Right.
It won't be hard to get board members and students. And while we're with these students, I've already told them, and I'll tell them every second we're together, we can't do this stuff without getting more funding to do it
Yep.
again. And to do that, we need y'all to help us. And so we need to be repping the heck out of OLASTEO all the time, but especially today. Because I told Dana earlier too, as a nonprofit right now, OLASTEO lives paycheck to paycheck, so to speak, right? With no full-time employees. And so we are trying to
Not
survive
uncommon.
until we don't have to, right?
Right.
And Dough Day is a major thing that I feel badly we haven't put as much time in this year as we should have We should have been doing this months and months ago. We knew it was coming. But we still needed to be massively successful so that we can go on next year and
Yeah.
actually pull off these things and not plan last minute, you know?
Yeah. My initial, because of the tight timeline,
Yes.
specifically thinking about your goals, of where the 75 will go, the spring break trip on civil rights. So to have content on which I know you're hired to have on the speaker series, but to have content about the Madison, Wisconsin trip, the speaker series, and the spring break trip to speak to each of those. I think the power could come from one thing is your existing email list. If they can create, excite them to create a peer-to-peer campaign so that they're doing the fundraising for you.
Yeah.
So 2 ways to do that. I know that I'm going to pull the website back up. So I don't think we
I
talked.
have a little thing in there. And by the way, if you wanted to pull up, if you do our webpage and you do just backslash ODD 2020, our campaign page from last year still lives. It's not amazing, but you'll like it, you know.
Oh, I see.
Um,
Okay, yeah, here, let me put it on. Okay, so
and
this is
and
last year.
and we had the fundraise thing, but it wasn't great. Like you might miss it if you blink. It's not at the top. You still don't see it, right? It's
Yeah.
nowhere to be seen. It's all the way at the bottom, and not really. We got no love from it all the way at the bottom last year.
So two things with this. I would say invite them to they could join a peer-to-peer fundraiser through your website because some people want to do it that way and people can give really easily. So let me go back to the homepage because you have that.
I have it, but yeah, I have it on the donation page. It's not the easiest, like the donate now, or if you click on donate,
That's
yeah,
right.
it's down. It's down below though. It's the
Start a
last one
fundraiser.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd want to put that more front and center, and then they can create a fundraiser specific for Doe Day. The other thing I would recommend you do you have a Facebook account?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Okay, so let me try and find you on people love creating Facebook fundraisers for
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
stuff. So let me search for you.
Yeah, I think this is like our biggest, it's still not much, but this is where we get the most love is on
Yeah,
Facebook.
so I would I'm not logged in for you, but if you are logged into the admin, right here on the right-hand side, you'll have a unique link
Yeah.
that Facebook will give you and put that in an email.
Okay.
And I would give people these specific impact goals, let them break them down to hey, it'd be great if you did a Facebook fundraiser for, let me just go back to your website because you have these amounts listed.
Oh yeah, I know what you're so basically like go back to the image cards, the impact cards, and like reiterate some of those.
Yes. So
Yeah.
send
Yeah, yeah.
these, yeah, like these type of
Right.
things. Or where was the other one?
Just on the main homepage. Yeah, just on the home, like on the OLASTEO homepage when you scroll down. Those are the main ones that are
Okay,
on
yeah,
there.
this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I did a fundraiser for an organization called Dressember,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah. They
yep,
crush it. Yeah,
yeah, they
they
do
crush
crush
it.
it. But they
Yeah.
have amounts just like this, and they had it was like $320 provides 8 hours of counseling for a survivor of human trafficking. And to me, if I look at
Mhm.
this, if I picked $500, I can
Right.
easily now speak to tell my friends and family, hey, this will help sponsor a Scholars National Excursion flight. They do these experience, it's giving me things to talk about instead of just making up a number out of thin air.
I like it, and that's a flight specifically. That's a flight to Atlanta, Georgia. You know,
There you go.
and
You
the
can
next
put
time it'll be a
language
flight to DC. But that
help a
is a flight to
student.
Atlanta.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And people did two of those. It'd be okay, $1,000 helps two students fly to the civil rights trip for spring break
Yeah.
next year.
Right. Yep.
Make it very tactical and tangible for people in the email. Put either be you can create the fundraiser on our website, or you can create a Facebook fundraiser to share with your friends and family. And it's super easy because once they click into it. I'm going to go to a nonprofit page that I do have access to.
Well, do it. And also like shout out Fundraise Up. I already have a peer-to-peer link for the 2021 Doe Day campaign. So that would
Oh,
also go into this email. Is the
amazing.
peer-to-peer link.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever people are comfortable with, right? Because
Yeah,
people
right.
have
Right.
different the one good thing that I will say about Facebook fundraisers is that it creates immediate awareness, right, for
I
your
know.
cause
I
because
know.
it gets shared a lot.
It sucks in terms of acknowledgement because
I
I'm such an
know.
anal retentive, like Bloomerang, Mailchimp, Fundraise Up integration type person.
Yeah,
But it's worth it because it's at the end of the day, it's dough to help these students out. You just have to figure
totally.
out you just can't acknowledge people in the same boutique way
What you
that
can do though, so this is
Mhm.
the link that I was talking about that you'll find.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
You
I'm definitely
can
gonna grab it.
thank people if you go into like Lori's
The
individual
reports, yeah,
fundraiser.
the reports, and you gotta see. But see, you still don't necessarily know their email address. You know what I
No.
mean? You have to like do it through Facebook, and I
Yeah.
get it.
You
Yeah.
don't. It's that part's not great. There is a new feature that you can through social ads through Facebook, you can
Hmm.
retarget people who have donated to you on Facebook and
Oh,
who
okay.
have donated
That's
to you
interesting.
through a Facebook fundraiser. So in that
Yeah.
case, you could do like a thank you video specifically to those people being like, "Hey, thank you so much for your support."
True.
No, you're not capturing their info, but at least it's still saying a thank you.
Well, that's good because I spend a lot of money on ThankView. You heard of them?
I love thank you.
So we are a ThankView client. We use the heck out of them early on
Yes.
for acknowledgments, and yes,
So those
yes.
of you that don't know, thank you, and I love that you use them. So after a
Yeah.
donation comes in, they have put together videos that get sent through email. It's like a little you can customize it, but sometimes it's an envelope and then like a
Yeah,
video
we
pops
have the
up.
envelope. We stopped doing the envelope because we got a better open rate without it, like,
Right.
just trying stuff out on the A/B testing. But yeah, that'd be cool. I think that is a path we got to go. And the thing is, the students will also be activated, at least the 25 that'll be on this trip with us. So, I know that we're supporting underserved communities, marginalized communities,
Yeah.
but you know what? Everybody's got access if they go hard enough. And
That's
I
right.
always remember in second grade, my friend Laquanda won this awesome like raffle prize for selling the most cookies. And I was just like, anybody could do it. Like we all had access to it, right? She just
Yeah.
went harder than everybody else. So you can't say that like we were in second grade. These kids are high school. These kids
The
are high
other
schoolers.
thing that I would
They have
say,
access.
because you're hitting up your alma mater area, is
Hmm.
I mean, kind of the same thing with civil rights is if you do want to, my jam is digital advertising and social media ads. You could
Right.
get really targeted on alumni or anybody who has an interest in Madison in the university. And you could also target separately people who have an interest in civil rights.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, with the absence of dough and not being able to target on the social ads just yet, I think I can still do because our Mailchimp list is about 500 plus people and just above 500.
Yeah.
I know everybody on that list for the most part. I know that we have a huge presence in Madison. My wife and I worked at this company, Epic. There's a huge affiliation to that. There's a lot of money in
Yeah.
that community. This we can just target a separate Mailchimp email to them, specifically focusing on the Madison part
Yeah.
and the Milwaukee part. Not discounting it in the others, but then the civil rights folks get a separate one that's more focused on that excursion, and then everybody else gets a more generic main one that has all three components
Yeah.
kind of evenly
You
dispersed.
can also, again, this is on the ad side, but if there was a
Yeah,
corporate
yeah,
sponsor that came in and you're like, "Hey, we'd really like to amplify our reach around this. Would
that's
from your
actually I like that.
dollars, could we take $500 from your corporate sponsorship and we're going to apply it to amplify reach on social because
Yeah,
you can take your email list, that CSV file, upload it to Facebook, and then you're retargeting those emails and you can create a lookalike audience that's people like those that are most likely to give to your cause.
yes. Man, there was a program at this conference I went to where Fundraise Up was at in Austin, Texas recently. All right, and there was a company that does stuff like it.
Were you at Neo?
Yes,
I
yes. You were
was
at
there.
that?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even see you. I was gallivanting around with my board member Greg Root. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think man, there was a program there, like an analytics company. We were a little too premature for them, but I got to find out what that is. But I'm going to also talk to my company that I work at as an HR leader, Grow. We're a digital marketing agency. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask my guy Kevin, the CEO, for sponsorship.
There you
There's
go.
no doubt they can help me with this.
There you go.
We do more SEO and paid search, but
Yeah.
we definitely know how to do paid social.
A good,
You know.
yeah, and a tip too, if you guys know anybody at Facebook, each Facebook employee gets $250, I think, a month to use on ad
Okay.
credit.
I do. I know my guy, Dr. Chris Harrison there.
There you
I can
go.
hit him up.
Be like, "Hey, can I use your ad spend?" Um, Betty had a question about what about reaching people through platforms like Nextdoor as a business? You can create events in there. No?
Man,
Yeah,
that's interesting, Betty. Yeah, my next door in my actual neighborhood here in LA is a bit scary. I was booted from it because I didn't like the racial profiling going on about 4 or 5 years ago. So it might be tough for me on the next door community, at least where I'm at. But yeah, I mean, next door is like a burgeoning
yeah,
community. I'm kind of just scared. I'm scared of my local one. That's all, Betty. They're not
yeah.
nice to me.
It dep
Yeah.
depends on what your local Nextdoor community is like. This has been
For
amazing.
sure.
I hope
Yeah,
the tips, although I would rock on the peer-to-peer, like, get people to do the fundraising
I am
for
going to,
you.
for sure.
But I definitely wanna follow you on this day, and I'm gonna get some
No,
vegan
do it, do it.
cookie
We'll have a
dough. It's
campaign page.
happening.
I'll bug you about it because if we make dough, then we can partner more realistically with someone like you to help us get to that next level that we really want to get to.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to help. I love what you guys are doing. I think it's amazing. And then, yeah, let me know when the Atlanta trip, if you need
Right.
help with
You can
some.
come meet us. Yeah, you come meet us foodie spots. We're gonna go to
Yeah,
Ebenezer Baptist, we're gonna do all that. So
I love it. I know some great restaurants that have, like, a sustainable, like, nonprofit tie to them if you're interested in that.
yes,
But I
yes.
would love, like, where should people go? How can they connect with you to reach out to
I
you?
mean, look, go to OLASTEO.org, OLASTEO.org. It's got all our information there. This is a mom and pop shop right now for real. This is the baby of my wife and I. We don't have a human one, so this is the one. And so all our energy, yeah, that's it. All our energy goes into this. All our stuff is on there, and contact information directly is on there. And if you sign up for our mailing list from the website, there's even on the end of every mailing list a way to set up time to directly talk to me because I'm always
Amazing.
looking for folks in this position that we
Cool.
can start a little community of the little people that make it in the nonprofit game.
I love it. That's awesome. This conversation has been incredible. What you're doing is awesome. Yeah, best of luck to you, Betty says. I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Betty. You too,
Your
Betty. Awesome
campaign is
last
gonna
name.
be awesome. Everybody who's watching, if you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe if you're on YouTube, like, send a reaction, a little heart on there, drop Aaron a note, let us know in the comments, and comment and let me know, like, what you would like to learn about next. What was the biggest takeaway from today's conversation? Like, what can you implement now? What are the questions that you're going to have that you're going to take to your team? Like, let these also be like a catalyst for communication and community to form, because that's why I do these. That's why the Edition Live exists, is to bring people like Aaron in front of you so that you're not alone, right? There's people going through the same thing you are. And if we can, the best thing I heard the other day was R&D. So instead of like research and discovery, this one nonprofit, which I thought was so funny, called it rip off and like redo, or rip off and I was like, that's so smart.
And demolish. Yeah, like I mean, I see it. I
And
get it.
it's like, how can we just learn better from each other and what we're doing? Like, you're talking about researching all the different fundraise up tools. Like, you've done that work. So I'm sure somebody would probably love to pick your brain on that. So
For sure.
super excited for Dough Day. Aaron, I'm rooting for you.
Thank
I'm
you, Dana. We will connect again. Thank you for everything. Thanks for having this podcast. It's helpful for folks like us.
you're welcome.
More to come in the future. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.